The simplest measure of central tendency is the mode. And to find the mode, what you're looking for is very simply the most commonly occurring value in your data. So in order to figure out what that is, from my example data set that I've got here, I'm going to make sure that I keep track of exactly how many of each value I have. So I can see here that I've got 2 ones. So I've got, for the number 1, there are 2 ones. And I do have a 2, but I think I only have one of them. And then 3s, there are 1, 2, 3 3s. So the frequency of 3s is 3. And then what else do I have? There is 1 4. And I do have a 5. And I do have a 6. And there's a 7. There's no 8, but there is a 9. Okay, so in my data set, you can see now, it's fairly obvious, that there are more 3s than anything else. There are 3 3s, so 3 is the mode. Now, just to be clear here, the mode is 3 because there are more of them than anything else. The mode is not 3 because there are 3 3s. If I had 4 3s, oops, I'm getting confused myself now. If I had another 3, there would have been 4 3s, and the mode would still be called 3, not 4. So the mode is the actual score. In fact, I'm going to leave it this way just to be very just to make this very clear. Let's say that we had actually 4 3s in our data set. So the mode is the most commonly occurring value. There are more 3s than any other value, and so this is the mode. A mode can also be spotted fairly easily when you're looking at a histogram. Let me turn my data here into a histogram. So I'm going to have my frequency along the side. And so I need 1, 2, 3. And then along the bottom, my values are going to go up to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are my x values. Okay, so how many 1s do I have? I have 2 1s. So let's I have 2 1s. I'll represent that as 2 blocks. And I have 1 2. I have 4 3s. Oops, I guess I did need another category here, a frequency. Okay, so when it comes to my 3s, they go all the way up, and there are 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's 1 4. There's 1 5. I think there's 1 6. There's 1 7. And I don't have an 8, but I do have a 9. Okay, so you can see that there is a peak right here. The highest point is this peak right here. This category or class, this is the mode. And so the mode is 3. So it's fairly easy to pick out on a histogram. It's easy to pick out in a frequency distribution table. About the only confusing thing that might ever happen with a mode would be this sort of a situation here. Let's imagine that I didn't have 4 3s. Let's say I had only 2 of them. So I'll get rid of one of my 3s and another one of my 3s. And so I'm going to have 2 3s. Now, what that would do to my graph and to my table is it would end up looking like this. So now in this case, I have 2 1s and I have 2 3s. So which one is the mode? Well, the mode ends up being a tie. The mode will be the title of mode is going to be held by both of these values. You would list it as this. You would say the mode is 1 and 3. So it's possible for a distribution to have more than one mode. This is what's called a bimodal distribution. You could have more than 2 modes. These are simply just called multimodal. Now, there's only so far you want to take this. However, imagine I didn't have 2 of anything. Or actually, let's make this a little bit simpler. Let's say that I did have exactly 2 of everything. So let's say I had a situation where I had 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, and so on, all the way out, all the way across my distribution. Doesn't matter if I don't have any 8s. So let's say I have actually 2 of all of my values. What would I do there if they asked me for the mode? Well, you could say that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different modes, but the mode is supposed to be the most commonly occurring. In other words, it's supposed to stand out somewhat. And if everything happens with the same frequency, so if everything has that same frequency of 2, I would say that in this case, there is no mode. Now, how are you going to decide whether something is multimodal or there's no mode? I think a safe rule of thumb is on a test or on an assignment, you're either going to have 1 mode, 2 modes, or no modes. You can say after you get to 2 modes, if they have anything that looks like it might be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 modes, you're probably better off just answering that there's no true mode. Nothing seems to stand out against the rest of the distribution. So, the mode, just a few key points about the mode. The mode is the most common value in your data set. There is no symbol for it. There is no formula. There's no difference in how you find a mode between the population and a sample. Now, unlike the mean and the median, the mode must be a score in your data set. You can't have a value that's not in your data set be the most commonly occurring value in your data set. It doesn't make any sense. So the mode will be one of the values in your data set. And it's possible to have many modes. This is what's called multimodal. So these are all of the main characteristics of the mode.